ever stop to think about your own mind? It's kind of like it's running on pre-installed software, right? An entire operating system that pretty much dictates how you see and interact with everything. And it's running right now, in the background, shaping your every single thought.
So that leads to a pretty big question, doesn't it? If your mind is running on code, who wrote it? Was it you or was it someone else?
Well, here's the thing. For most of us, the answer is no, we didn't write it. We're running on software we inherited. From our family, our culture, our life experiences. We never consciously sat down and built these frameworks. And that can be a real problem because it means we're trying to navigate this incredibly complex world with a system we don't even fully understand.
But what if you could change all that? What if you could shift from just being a passive inheritor of your belief system to becoming its active designer? That's the huge idea we're going to dig into today. How to take control and consciously build your own internal operating system.
The absolute key here is this concept of beliefs as architecture. This is a total game changer. Instead of seeing beliefs as these fuzzy, abstract ideas just floating around, you start to see them as the actual load-bearing walls and the very foundation of your mind. And if they're structural, well, that means you can map them, you can analyze them, and you can even rebuild them.
So, how do you do it? Well, the process really breaks down into two big steps. First, you have to map your own inner world. You need the blueprints of your current architecture. And only when you have that can you effectively start to dissect the architecture of all the ideas coming at you from the outside world every single day. So yeah, the whole thing starts by looking inward. All right, let's start with that first step. This really is a journey of self-discovery, but it has a very clear architectural goal. We're creating a blueprint of your own belief system. The process kicks off with a series of questions that seem almost deceptively simple. Take this one, for example. How do you decide what's true in the world? Now, there are no wrong answers here. It's all about uncovering the raw materials, the bricks and mortar of your current structure. And these questions, they go deep. They get right to the heart of your core assumptions about reality itself, how you see yourself in relation to other people, what you feel you actually have control over. These questions are designed to expose the foundational pillars holding up your entire worldview. And now, this is the payoff. This is the big aha moment. On the left, you see a user answering a final question with just one single stark word, dirt. And then on the right, look at what happens. An unbelievably detailed belief map is generated from all their simple answers. It's just incredible to see. So what does a map like this actually show you? Well, for starters, it shows you where your architecture is strong. Based on an answer like dirt, it can identify strengths like a powerful sense of self-reliance, a very pragmatic way of solving problems, and a lot of resilience. It shows you the parts of your framework that are really serving you well. But just as crucially, it shines a light on your potential blind spots. And what's fascinating is that they are often the other side of the coin to your strengths. That same fierce self-reliance, it might cause you to underestimate the influence of larger systemic forces. Now, this isn't a judgment, it's just an architectural survey, telling you where you might want to reinforce the structure a bit. Okay, so once you have a map of your own inner world, you basically unlock a new superpower. You gain the ability to see the hidden architecture in, well, everything else. And that brings us to the second part of this process, dissecting the content that's all around us. Using this new lens, you can analyze pretty much any piece of content you want, a news article, a social media post, even just a nagging fear. For instance, here someone has typed in that very common fear, AI is going to take my job. Now look at how this approach breaks that fear down into its core components, its underlying assumptions. It reveals things like a core belief that technology is only a disruptive force, or the assumption that the job market is a zero-sum game. It exposes the hidden framework that makes that fear feel so heavy and so real. And then, it provides a grounded, reality-aligned perspective. It doesn't just dismiss the fear, it reframes it with a more nuanced view. It suggests a reality where it's more about transformation and collaboration, not just simple replacement. It gives you a more solid foundation to stand on. But this kind of architectural thinking isn't just for analyzing anxieties. To really show its power and versatility, let's see what happens when you apply it to something as complex and as foundational as the US Constitution. And instantly, it just
pulls back the curtain and reveals the deep philosophical architecture. It identifies the core beliefs that the entire document is built on: the idea of inherent rights, the idea that government gets its power from the consent of the people, and that core principle that concentrated power is dangerous. It just makes the invisible visible.
So, what does this all lead to? We've mapped our inner world, and we've learned how to dissect the outer world. The final, crucial step is to put those two skills together into a powerful new way of being.
And here it is. This is the ultimate takeaway. By first understanding your own invisible architecture, your strengths, your blind spots, your foundations, you develop this sort of internal anchor. You become grounded. And that grounding gives you the stability and the clarity to engage with all the world's complex and conflicting ideas without getting swept away by them.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this. If you can really move from being a passive inheritor to an active architect of your own mind, the only question left is a deeply personal and incredibly empowering one. What kind of self will you choose to build?